I'm thankful for all the panelists to join us for this very interactive session. The topic is very close to my heart. After working for 15 years in the analytics domain, I have come to a conclusion. Technology, data have its significant role, but definitely the role played by the stakeholders is significant to make any success of analytics project. I'm thankful for all my three panelists because they are coming from a very, very different background, but somehow contributing to the ecosystem of analytics world. I will request my three panelists to introduce about their professional journey to my audience, starting with Arunima. Welcome, Arunima.
Hi, Rajneesh. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Arunima. I'm currently leading research function for Gojek's international markets. Essentially, I help business to develop the go-to-market strategy, identifying new product features, or developing marketing campaigns right from the big idea to a copy testing and evaluating effectiveness. Over the last 11 years that I have been in this industry, I had the privilege of working across varied sectors, right from public policy, education, media, and now with the consumer tech space. What I enjoy across all these different roles that I have taken on is the idea that as insights function, we enable business to take decisions through data that comes in various shapes and forms. You have qualitative, quantitative, you have primary, you have secondary. And I think that's where the role of cross-functional collaboration is important because the insights, data science, and analytics have to come together to paint the holistic picture. So yeah, that's all about me. And I'm looking forward to talking to the other panelists and understand their journey as well. Thanks.
Thank you. So can I have Thao please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, my name is Thao, and I'm currently working as the head of business intelligence and strategic and planning for Lazada Vietnam. My background was in analytic consulting, where I have spent almost 10 years in the industry, working with clients across FMCG, finance and banking, telecom, retail, e-commerce, among others. My background is really on helping clients to maximize their ROI in investment using data analytics and modeling. I started my career in the US working for one of the FMCG giants, and I have been through markets of Shanghai and Southeast Asia, and now it's based in Vietnam. My current work involves a lot of strategic planning and consulting to the CEO on strategy based on data and analytics. I really look forward to the discussion today, and it's nice to meet every one of you.
Thank you, Thao. Thank you. So I have to just check about the Rajiv's connection. There was some issue. Rajiv is online. Yeah, please, Rajiv, give us your brief introduction. Rajiv, can you hear me?
Yeah, first of all, sorry for the delay. There was some technical issue at my side. So, hello everyone, I'm Rajiv Singh. I'm a software engineer by qualification. I have actually worked more than 18 years in market research. And most of in those 18 years, I've actually worked in many roles and actually handling a lot of responsibilities. So roles varying from, handling automation, handling data, team of data analysts, and actually looking after Asia, Middle East, and Africa for Kenta, where I was actually managing business process improvement initiatives. So and then after 18 years, I actually decided to join a tech startup. So I joined this tech startup, which is GRP's lab in India last year. So yeah, so that is it.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, everyone. So now I think we can good to start our discussion around our key topic, how to achieve the best possible coordination among the key stakeholders to ensure success of any analytics project. So I would love to start with Arunima, being she is in the consumer insights, where she has to bridge between the technology, data, business needs, and then how she traverses into it. So I would like to ask her, what are the essential factors which you think organization need to imbibe to ensure that they are achieving data-driven decision-making approach?
Thanks, Rashnish. I think before we get onto the factors, if you start with what drives organizations to take on this data-driven approach, I feel that the most important need is to be in control of what's happening now and what will happen in future, and that drives all the organizations to see how data can facilitate that. From my experience, I see that there are three building blocks, starting with identifying the right data sources. Uh, in today's digital world, there is no dearth of data. Any organization, whether it's in tech or outside tech, there is abundance of data available. But what's important is that we need to ensure that all our internal data is actually complemented with some external matrix. I'll explain with a simple example. So if I talk about ride hailing, for us to understand what drives satisfaction of our users, it's a simple thing to do from an internal transaction data. But if I have to guide business and tell that, hey, amongst the two or three things, this is what you need to act upon, I need to understand what my competitors are doing well. And that will tell me where the competitive advantage lies. So identifying these right data sources, having a mix of internal and external, is the first building block for me. The second is investing in the right roles in the organization. So while you have all the data sources, you still need analysts to answer the what's, you need consumer insights to answer the whys, and you need data scientists to be able to in some way put everything together and tell that how future will look like. And for all these three different roles to talk to each other, you need to invest in technology so that the collaboration and the process gets easier. So for me, that's the second building block, that having the right people on board it to be able to paint that holistic picture. The third building factor, essentially, I think would be taken care of if you're doing the first two things right. So third factor for me is having the right objectives to work on. So if you have right data matrix available, you have right people to paint that holistic picture, then the third step is for organizations or the strategy team to put that into the motion and see these are the matrix that we need to act upon, and then the teams to help provide regular information on how business is doing on these matrix. So right from sources, people to setting the objectives, I think this is a good mix of having the right foundation for a data-driven decision making.
Okay, thank you. How would you like to add to this success ingredient formation? I think there is some issue with the voice. Can we move to Rajiv for in meantime?
Yeah. So I will just add what Arunima said, and she mentioned all very valid points. So I'm just going to add a couple of points. So I mean, data is one commodity which is available everywhere, and you can actually find it very easily. And it is the most sought after commodity these days. So and it's the most difficult thing to actually control, identify, combine, and manage. So so it is easily available, but it is actually very difficult if you don't know how to actually handle it. So for that, I mean, first of all, you need a vision of a company, so that everybody in the organization knows what they are supposed to do with this data. And so you have to build this thing in the DNA of the company. So and you have to actually build experts, or you have to train your people to be able to actually uh, use this data to be able to actually analyze it and predict and take right decisions based on that. So and this I mean culture has to actually come from the top to bottom, not from bottom to top. So this is something, I mean, whoever actually managed to do this is able to actually, uh, uh, make best use of this commodity. So as we all know, data is the new oil. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you have the data, you can do anything and everything.
Yes, yes, yes. Can we hear Thao now?
Hello.
Yeah. Please,
Okay,
Thao.
great. Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think different industries will have different requirements in order to have, successful analytic embedded into the business. For offline industry, the challenge would be, how do you even start setting up the system to collect data, process data, and use that data. For more advanced industry where the data is more abundant and available, like for example, e-commerce or the technology related companies, the challenge would be how do you maintain a sophisticated system enough that you can process a huge volume of data that meet the ongoing demand of having real-time access, real-time analytics, real-time visualization. So the investment from the technology and the resource are very important in order to have for the business to be able to use and be successful with using analytics.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So if we can just come to a summary of this part, we can say very comfortably that technology, data, roles, the people you are investing, and all above that, how you have defined goals of the business, objectives of that particular project will start playing critical role in your success of any analytics project. And I think all the three panelists somewhere in different terms have highlighted the role of experts, talent, training. So I think there we are establishing the stakeholders start playing a big role in the success of such projects. Now coming back to the second layer to this question, I would like to take it to Thao. Maybe she can enlighten us on this. Like, what you think is the biggest stumbling block, if I would say bottleneck, in achieving the fullest utilization of data in the given organization space?
I think the biggest block would be, everyone needs to be buying in the fact that data is nowadays very important for us to make decisions. We can just now just make decisions based on our subjective feelings of what is right. And with the abundance and the available of the data these days, it's important that the whole organization buy in and work together, collaborate together seamlessly in order to use the data. I think the second challenge also is on the resources. You need to have the right people in place who have the knowledge of an end-to-end process. Because a lot of people who have the technology capabilities does not have a very strong business acumen or vice versa. So the human resources here would be, I would say, the biggest factor contributing to the success of an organization in the ability to utilize analytics.
Okay. Aru, you want to add to this?
Yes. So I think building on from what Thao mentioned, I'll say another challenge is also around information discovery in the organization. So if I were to step back from our project specific mode to an organization level, I would say that information discovery is also a big challenge amongst people who want to act upon it. So I had the privilege of working in a traditional linear setup as well as matrix organization. While matrix organization have lots of benefits in terms of keeping the orgs lean, I also feel that data gets lost in the task force way of working. People don't know something has already been acted upon. People don't know some insights are already available from XYZ person. And I think that poses another big challenge in terms of how all the information that's being available, how organizations are utilizing it. And from my experience, I feel that investing in technology to some extent can provide a good platform for this information discovery process. But that for me is the biggest challenge that I have observed.
Okay, okay, nice, nice. Rajiv, anything what you think is the biggest stumbling block?
So, I will say uh, there are more than one, you
Yeah,
know, hurdles or blockade. So you can actually see in a project where a lot of stakeholders are involved. Uh, First thing I will say, the technology. If you have large amount of data, you have to have technology which can actually handle that amount of data. So I remember when we last year, when in November or December, when we were actually working on a project where we had to actually process, records in millions. I mean, there were around 100 million records, and the client actually who approached us, they have a very big setup, and they have a global presence. Still, they were not able to actually handle the data. Being such a big company, and I mean, if you, I mean, you can't believe that they are not able to handle that amount of data. And then we came into picture and we helped them with that because we had the technology they didn't have. So that's one thing. Second, I will say that lot of in bigger organizations, there are, I mean, if you have multiple stakeholders, every stakeholder actually work in a silo. So, and nobody, I mean, there is no will to actually go and learn the other stakeholders' objective. So, when you know other stakeholders' objective, you will tend to actually help that person by, in any way you can actually, so that, it will, your output will become his input, but it will actually save a lot of time of that
yeah,
person's time. So that thing is very important, that you break the silos, align everyone when you start a project, so that everybody knows the objective and how everybody is going to play a role. Third thing I will say that you need to have a data expert or a design expert who can actually, who knows end to end, like Thao mentioned, and that person should be able to actually guide everyone on every step of the project, so that uh, uh, if there is a blockage, and that person can jump in and say, guide that person that this is how you should actually manage it, and this is how you should do it, and then you know the project will move to the next stage. uh, and lastly, I will say, there is a, I mean, we need a change in the traditional mindset. A lot of people actually see technology, automation, and digital transformation as a threat to their routine job. So we have to actually train everyone in the organization that automation, we have to actually adopt these things. And because this is the new thing, I mean, we have to adopt. It's like do or die. So you have to actually do it. So uh, until unless they know the advantages, they will not be able to actually uh, accept it or embrace it with open arms.
Hmm, hmm. I agree. I agree. When we are talking about the bottlenecks, I think somewhere after working with various organizations, I can say that first to realize the various stakeholders or your people in the team, the importance of data and how it can help them to drive the decisions, how it can guide them to decision making. Once we have established that connect, that data is a facilitator, it's not an additional task.
Correct.
That change of mindset really start playing, then you will start having a resources, training, and people will start using. Otherwise, what happens, like technology can be acquired, data can be bought or arranged, you can have a softwares to run, but if the intent of implementing it, using it for various functions within the organization is not among the players, it becomes very challenging. In this case, I know we were working with one of the government organization from in US only, and abroad, like in the Asian country, it's a developing country. We run two series of programs for them. The first team was not very effective because the biggest challenge was that they were not having awareness about what kind of data is available. They don't know where to approach for data, how to read the data and then take it for their own business requirements, maybe in health sector, education sector. Strangely, when we did the second round of these trainings, we ensured that every group is having a person from the data department of the government statistics ministry. And we have seen the significant change in the performance of the people, because they know that this is not now hindrance, but they are here for facilitating it. They don't have to think about the operational issues, but they have to think about the executional and action space. So I think definitely somewhere the Rajiv has highlighted the very critical point, the mindset change. The traditional mindset has to go towards accepting data, the change. So any example from your side you have experienced in the organizations who have successfully overcome this mindset challenge?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of examples. I will actually mention one which we executed last year. So one of our clients, who is actually big consumer insight company, and they are actually more than 50 countries actually. So, but being a big company and a traditional company, I mean, the way people work, and it's very difficult to actually change the mindset, change the organization in one day. Right? I mean, it will take time. So I mean, so they they came up, they contacted us. They actually they shared one of their critical challenge, like they do ad measurement test uh, for their clients, where they need to actually tell them that which ad or creative is going to work in digital environment or not, and where should they put their money. So I mean that's very critical, because there are a lot of investment is dependent on what you are actually saying, and the uh, timely decision, I mean, is also very important. So the faster you actually can tell them, it's also very critical. So this entire process used to take a month from start to end. So from when you start having the discussion and the day you actually see the results. So I mean it's a very lengthy process. So and there were a lot of stakeholders involved in this process, like someone from uh, a scripting programming side. There were people who were actually managing the data. There were people who were actually managing the entire project. There was people who were actually analyzing the data, uh, and there were consumer insights researchers. There were, I mean, end clients. So there were a lot of people, stakeholders who were from different backgrounds, and and it was very difficult for them to actually work in a collaborative manner, because it was very staggered, or very disconnected framework they had. So we actually suggested to automate the entire process, that we can build something for you, and that platform will actually help you deliver these same results within you can go into field to collect the data in, let's say, a few hours. You will have the data available to you on real time, and then you will be able to see the same data in visual format in your dashboard. So I mean, with technology you can actually overcome not many things, and when you know and understand the objective for each and every stakeholder, then only you can actually help everyone. Until unless you actually meet everyone's objective, nobody will come on board. So you have to make sure that you are meeting everyone's objectives. Then only they will actually try to embrace this thing, the change.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I think I can appreciate the example which Rajiv is giving. I know that this industry is a huge, it's a billions and billions dollar industry where people have to evaluate the efficacy of any copy, the ad you are watching on television or you are watching on online site. So the industry have to evaluate it. But with the digitization of entire media and advertising, people want instant result. Is the copy working for me or it is not working for me? And here I think to a great extent the data technology analysts have played a significant role to cut down the timelines. If they would not have cut, I think it has become an irrelevant proposition altogether for the industry. They have made a significant change and established the relevance, and it was only possible. like Rajiv has highlighted, this was not channelized except you have brought all the stakeholders together and understood their requirements, not only agency people, marketers, client, data scientists, researchers, so that the composition should be seamlessly. And now I can say very comfortably that industry is now on a total different trajectory, at least on this front, because stakeholders have aligned and overcome all the possible challenges. And still it's evolving, still it's evolving. Okay, thank you all. So now I'm moving to next question. Can we say that there is any framework available which can be experimented by the companies to achieve the coordination among the stakeholders? Anything in your collective experience of 50 years in my panel we can think of?
So I will start.
Yeah,
With
please.
this thing. I'm take this thing. I will say that there is no single solution for all your problems. I mean, you have to actually find solution or frameworks which are actually relevant to you. So every organization have access to different type of data. They use data differently. I mean, for their different objectives, and for that they need different types of solutions and frameworks. So there is no one medicine. That's what I'm trying to say. So, but I mean, you can actually build a system which is agile enough. So I mean, in a globalized world, I mean, people actually try to So when you are designing a framework or a solution, you think of let's actually design a system which will actually work across countries. You will be able to actually manage all continents, all markets without any problem. But that's not the case. That's what I actually experienced when I was actually managing the Asia, Africa, and Middle East markets. Every market is different. They have different challenges. They are actually, I mean, Africa has a different challenge. Asia is facing, well, even in Asia, I mean, Singapore is very developed market where, I mean, India and other SEA markets are very on a different level actually. So, I mean, they have access to, I mean, the access to internet, access to mobile. I mean, these kind of challenges are there. You have to actually keep these challenges or country specific challenges in mind, and you have to actually involve the local people, local representatives, so that they can actually help you build a system which is robust enough so that it can actually work for everyone.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rajiv. Aru, Thao, anything from your side on this? Like any framework possible?
I totally agree with what Rajiv mentioned, that there is no one size fits all for in terms of processes and framework. While we talk about cross countries, I also feel that depending on at what stage organization is, the challenges and the coordination needs would be different. So for a startup, someone who is just trying to launch something out in the market, the coordination needs are simple because everyone is aligned on a vision. They're working on getting things out in the market, and coordination becomes easier because it's task force, it's smaller. But as organization starts to scale, then the challenges become bigger, because then the need of the hour is having initiatives, data initiatives at the enterprise level, not really for an individual project level. So just elaborating on what Rajiv mentioned, that there ain't a one size fits all. Depending on the needs, solutions are adopted. Initially, you don't need collaboration tools. As you progress further, as the organizations mature, these tools also come in handy for collaborating with various stakeholders.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Arunima. Thao, from your point of view, being in a very, very real time sensitive industry.
Yes. My opinion would not be a lot different from what Arunma and Rajiv has shared, but I would just want to say from an organization structural point of view, I think, depending on how big the company is and how much sophisticated you are in using data analytics, some company maybe have one small team who handles everything, and then companies like e-commerce, we would have people who specialize in coding, in data processing, in data warehouse, in building data products, in analytics, in visualization. But the important is that within each of those chain of team, there needs to be a person or ideally everyone who really understand how the other part are working all together and put it all together. Because if everyone is doing their own things, then there would not be a very seamless collaboration among all. And at the end of the day, you cannot deliver what the business really needs, right? Because going from data to an insight that can drive a business strategy, it's a long way. And then at the same time, being mindful that if you have too many sub-team, there can be a potential of overlapping of the work or redundancy of the work. So you are wasting on the resources. So just really think about what you need for your organization to deliver the end output, and then build the structure accordingly so that it really best fit to your business, and to make sure that everyone contribute, and then the connection between the teams are seamless.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I think it's very helpful. So now, like I'm taking one question in this way, does integration across stakeholders become a bigger challenge in case you are dealing with lots of external stakeholders? Because that is the reality of today. We cannot work in as a one organization addressing everything within our domain.
Yeah, I think related to the question, I have been experienced myself as external parties for many companies, and then now am as an internal person working with external parties. I think it's not necessarily adding more challenges, because actually everyone view the external data as being more objective and fair. I think in order to have everyone buying in and when working together, there need to be a few key preparation steps. The first thing is every stakeholder need to be aligned on the expectation about the data, right? What kind of data sources that is that a census? Is that a survey data? Is that a general study? Is that a focus group study? Is that internet data? The source of data, the methodology used to collect the data, and then also, if it's a result, what kind of analysis or modeling methodology was used, and what kind of insight would be driven from there. Because knowing where the data come from is very important to prevent, bias for any particular party. And then the second thing is to align on how the data will be used upfront before you even see the data, right? Is that would be a complementary to what you already have, or is that a validation of a hypothesis? Is that a deep dive to something that you don't know, you're not clear about, or answering the why based from your internal data? Or is that an exclusive source of data for you to know such kind of information? So knowing what it will be used upfront and the expectation about the data, it will be a lot easier when the data come in for every party to buy in. Of course, from the technical point of view, there will be always a challenge of how you integrate the external data into the internal data. But I think if everyone is clear on the purpose of the data and the source of the data, then it will be easier for the internal team, whether it's a data science team or the market research team or a business intelligence team, to come up with a methodology that you can combine things together for a holistic view. So I think that's my opinion, is to have a preparation upfront, aligning on the expectation.
That's very nicely coming from the person who is dealing data really in the real time format. And I think that's now becoming a norm from across the industries. Like no one is exception that they can ignore the real time data. But external stakeholders becomes important because you cannot manage everything within your system. Like some industries have evolved that way, but far large companies are depending on many stakeholders beyond data sourcing only. So anything from Rajiv or Arunima?
So like how I have also worked as an external partner and now working in the in-house setup. As an external party, what I feel as a limiting factor is the security and confidentiality part, wherein not a lot of companies are comfortable sharing everything, and that limits the effectiveness of to what extent external party can help you achieve the objective. And second thing, and this is just my experience, understanding, how internal and external data comes together, is when you reach an advanced stage of collaboration, I think it's very important to have stakeholders agree on what they can action upon and what they cannot action upon. So say for example, if I have an internal metric or internal data saying I want to improve pickup time for our customers, it's easy to act upon because I can change my algorithm of matching and see instant results. However, when it comes to the external data of the same perception of, how fast drivers are coming to pick you up, perceptual data is a lot harder to act upon. So having that upfront discussions with stakeholders to first explain how internal and external data speak to each other, what they mean, is very important. And that's where it goes to the earlier points that why integration between analytics and insights is important, because they can paint that picture that to change the perception, you need to invest more on communication if your actual attributes are great. And I think that when you're working with the third party data, that integration becomes all the more important, because sometimes you will have contradicting results and you will have to explain to the stakeholders how everything is put together and what you need to act upon.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Rajiv, from your perspective, I know that you deal from the technology and many other aspects from the external partners' point of view.
Yeah. So my take on this is, I mean, collaboration is actually a must thing, because in this technology dependent and digital transformed world, you cannot be actually expert in everything. So to use the latest technology or use the cutting edge data, because now there is no one source of data, there are multiple sources of data, and these channels or these sources are actually evolving every day. So you have to actually find which is the best fit solution for your client, so that you can meet their objectives. So when you find out the technology and how you can actually deliver those things, you have to find a way how you can actually integrate the external vendors with your internal stakeholders. So that's a different challenge actually. So first, I will actually say that if you work in a internal departments, and so there are, I mean, two ways when you actually introduce. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I mentioned that you need to actually change the mindset of people. So if someone is actually working on 10 projects already, you say that there are 5 more projects. You will say, I don't have the will. So I have I may have the skills, but I don't have the will to actually work on those 5 projects. I will say I cannot. So in that case, you need to actually introduce technology or take those stakeholders on board that we are going to empower you with technology, with data, with this technology and this external vendors. Instead of actually working on 10 projects, you'll be able to actually work on 40 projects. You'll have to spend less time. It will be, it will actually empower you. Then that person will actually start listening to you, and then because there is a benefit for them. So you have to actually, as I mentioned earlier, you have to actually think of a solution which actually benefits everyone. So then only everybody will get on board. So and when you actually introduce external or internal stakeholders, you have to find someone who can actually speak in everyone's language. Every team, every department, even external vendors who are dealing with technology and data, they actually speak in a completely different terminologies. So one cannot actually speak to another. That's one of the biggest challenges I have actually faced. So, and most of the time I used to be the translator, because I have worked in many departments, so I was able to actually understand everyone. So I was the translator to translate, what this person means and what this other person is saying. So you need to actually find that kind of expert in your, or you have to build that kind of experts in your organization. If you cannot, because experts will actually incur your cost. So, I mean, you have to find the right balance. If you cannot actually find experts in-house, go outside, find the best technology, best, partners who are willing to actually, they have the skills, they have the will to actually help you with everything.
Yeah, that's very enriching. Like, I really like the way all the three people have told, like, external partners are important, no doubt, but definitely you have to find the space, and the space which is internally aligned within the organization. You have acquired an external partner, but the internal stakeholders are not convinced, it will not cut any ice. It will not able to help you in decision making or guide you for any kind of decision plan. So it will be good if we are taking external partners, because they are required for various collaboration in today's age. But it has to be aligned from inside, rather than they are pushing inside within your organization. Thank you, everyone. So now we are in the last leg of our session. I have two questions to address. One from Tan. Should organizations have a chief data officer? Rajiv, what do you think? I think you might be
Yeah,
really...
I think, I mean, it's must to actually have a chief data officer these days, because now we are dealing with tons of data, and as I mentioned, it's the new oil. So if data is that much precious, you need one minister to actually manage that thing within your organization. So now there are, when we talk about data, a lot of challenges also comes into picture. As Arunima mentioned, during this discussion, that security, data privacy, these kind of actually comes into picture, because that's the real threat. So if you actually, your data is not secure enough, from where you are sourcing this data, you, let's say, lose some data, then you lose your face. I mean, company will lose the face.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that data is protected enough. You are actually, you have a GDPR privacy policy in place, so that you know how to store this data, and how and what to share with others. So it's very must to actually have this role in your organization.
Like, and I was very encouraged recently. I was looking some news, and I found one of the city in India, they have appointed a data officer for the city. So the government, municipality, and all the departments will be using all the data for any kind of requirement from that person. That is one of the initiative taken at the public sector organization, which was very encouraging. Now we have another question, and I think anyone can pick. How do you convince stakeholders who aren't convinced about using analytics in their companies? How, I think you would have some phases in your career life where you have to convince people how to use the analytics.
Yes. I think, at the end of the day, whether it's you as a client, as a agency, or as an internal stakeholder who want to convince your boss on using analytics, I think the important thing is you really understand the business requirements. What is the ultimate KPI, ultimate goal that the business want to set forth for? And then by understanding that, then you really make a strong connection of how the analytics will be able to help you achieve your goal better, right? The goal can be on improving efficiency. The goal can be on just having more revenue or more users. But in any case, it has to be strongly linked to your ultimate business goal, right? And then the second thing would be about then what kind of analytics that would be best, and what kind of resource that you need to be prepared for in order to have that analytics solution. Then every business is different, right? For some business, the use of data and analytics will be more inevitable. For other business, it will be, a little bit requiring more investment or taking a longer lead time to see the impact. But at the end of the day, if you cannot make the data and the analytics connected to the final business KPI, then it's very difficult to convince the stakeholders.
Thank you. Aru, you would like to add how to convince the stakeholders within the organization? Someone wants a word of advice.
Sure. So I think what has worked for me in the past is building proof of concepts. So if you have a bigger problem to tackle and you see your stakeholders are not convinced, breaking that down into smaller problems and building proof of concepts has worked very well. Analytics can be a big project of modeling, or it can be a simple survey. But the moment you start building proof of concepts for people, and they start seeing that how it adds value, it helps to build that trust, and as Thao mentioned, to have that alignment on business goals and business objectives, and that helps to have a trusted relationship with your stakeholders and help to move forward. But yeah, that is something that I keep trying, that whenever I have seen lack of interest or it doesn't make sense, I try to build these proof of concepts and then take it forward, take baby steps, and eventually it helps to convince the stakeholders that why it's important.
Like, I think Aru and Thao has told perfectly right. You have to go with some samples, some solutions, and convince the stakeholders. I know when I joined Singapore as a professional 10 years back, so in the organization, my task was to bring people to start using analytics. That was my task. It was no sales budget, nothing, but the task was make people comfortable. And what we did, we identified those oceans within the organization which are ready to use it and took them as our ambassadors. We showed them the results. They became our ambassadors to identify those stakeholders who are ready. Rather than taking it to everyone, find 2-3 people who will become your ambassadors. They will show the results, the client acknowledgements, and then you can cascade it.
True.
That is the one bit from my side. And I think now we are at the closing of the session. I am getting lots of placards with the minutes left. So at this moment, I will thank all the 3 esteemed panelists. They have shared very candid view, lots of examples which can help us to ensure any success of organization depends on coordination, selection, and recruitment of right set of people in the analytics domain. I want to thank lots of people who are helping behind these videos, which are not visible on the videos, our admin team, our operation teams. Big thanks to them. So thank you, everyone. So please tune in for the next session. And just simple request, there will be a survey sent you for the feedback. Please fill it and share with us. That will help us for our future programs. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aru, Rajiv, and Thao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.